Yo, fam, the streets have been buzzing. Rick Ross allegedly tried to take out 50 Cent, but Curtis Jackson came out unscathed, and not long after, the king of trolls was back, full force. We're talking old beef, new heat, and pure chaos between two of hip-hop's biggest legends. But was this all smoke and mirrors, or the calm before a real storm? When it comes to hip-hop beef, we're not talking Twitter shade or fleeting subliminal shots. We're talking Rick Ross and 50 Cent, clashing for nearly 2 decades with no signs of backing down. Their rivalry has produced words, threats, legal battles, and enough petty jabs to fill an encyclopedia drama. Rick Ross, the self-proclaimed biggest boss, built his Maybach music empire while always watching his back for 50's relentless trolling, and 50 turned being petty into an art form, a business model that keeps him relevant both online and in the streets. But long before Curtis became the king of Instagram trolling, before his legendary stunts with empty concert arenas and viral schemes, he was fighting for real survival, and that's the side of this beef most people don't even see. And when I say battle for survival, I mean it in the most literal life or death sense imaginable. Let's go back to the very first time 50 Cent nearly lost his life, May 24th, 2000. It was between 7 and 8 in the evening, and he was sitting in a parked Jeep outside his grandmother's house on 134th Avenue near Guy Brewer Boulevard in South Jamaica, Queens, just talking on the phone, living what seemed like an ordinary evening. Then, out of nowhere, an armed assailant approached the vehicle with deadly intent. This wasn't a warning shot or a scare tactic. This was a calculated assassination attempt at point-blank range. The gunman unleashed a storm of bullets through the car window. When the chaos ended, 50 Cent had been struck 9 times. Bullets tore through both legs, shattering bones, and hit his hand, arm, hip, and chest. One devastating round grazed his face and cheek, temporarily compromising his speech and leaving a permanent scar that he still carries today. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. Bleeding profusely inside the Jeep, he somehow made it to Jamaica Hospital Medical Center, arriving in critical condition. The trauma team worked frantically, extracting bullet fragments, reconstructing shattered bones, halting internal bleeding, and fighting to keep a man alive whose survival odds were slipping by the second. 50 Cent's hospitalization lasted about 13 grueling days, during which he underwent multiple surgeries while facing the toughest chapter of his life. Orthopedic specialists rebuilt his damaged legs, and trauma surgeons worked around the clock to save him. But surviving the 9 bullets was only the beginning. The recovery process was brutal. He had to relearn how to walk, moving from crutches to a walker, eventually settling into a noticeable limp that stayed with him for years. His facial injury affected his speech, requiring focused work to regain clear articulation. Daily physical therapy became essential for restoring mobility, rebuilding strength, and managing chronic pain from bullet fragments and shattered bones. Investigators tied the shooting to his ongoing conflicts with Ja Rule and Murder Incorporated, as well as controversial lyrics from his mixtape track Ghetto Turan, which mentioned Supreme Team members and alleged criminal activity. Kenneth Supreme McGriff was later linked to the attack during federal testimony in 2005, though no one was ever convicted for the shooting. While 50 Cent was still recovering, Columbia Records dropped him, citing concerns over violence and negative publicity. His debut album, Power of the Dollar, set for July 2000, was shelved indefinitely, and the industry began treating him as if he carried a contagious threat. But 50 Cent refused to fade into obscurity. While recovering at home, he threw himself into recording mixtapes with relentless determination, building underground momentum that eventually caught the attention of Marshall Mathers Eminem. That led to his signing with Shady Aftermath in 2002 and ultimately to Get Rich or Die Trying, which dropped in 2003 and sold 872,000 copies in its first week. The shooting left more than physical scars. It reshaped his identity, both personally and professionally. In a 2025 Fox News interview, he explained how surviving the assassination attempt rewired his mindset, pushing him from street-level hustle to survival-driven focus, and eventually to mogul status with ventures like his TV franchise and the legendary vitamin water deal valued at over $100 million. Understanding what 50 Cent endured makes his conflict with Rick Ross more than just a feud between two artists at a clash with deeper stakes, rooted in a lifetime of survival, ambition, and power. This is a man who survived 9 bullets and lived to tell the story, now facing off against another who built his entire image around being an untouchable boss. When viral footage of their latest confrontation hit the internet, the hip-hop world collectively paused, waiting to see what would happen next. This is the origin story of one of hip-hop's most petty and persistent rivalries. To truly understand the stakes, we have to go back to where it all began. The feud officially sparked at the 2008 Bet Hip Hop Awards, when 50 Cent accused Rick Ross of giving him an inappropriate stereo seemingly small moment that would ignite years of clashes, diss tracks, and viral chaos. The entire war began over a look of fleeting glance where two massive egos collided. That single moment was just a spark igniting an explosive feud that had been building for years. True to form, 50 Cent went to work doing what he does best, digging into Rick Ross' past and uncovering ammunition to use against him. He revealed that Ross had once worked as a correctional officer, a fact that, in street terms, translated to fraud and even the implication of being an informant. In hip-hop, where street credibility can make or break a career, this revelation hit hard. Rick Ross had carefully built his entire persona around being a drug kingpin, a supreme boss who ran operations and lived a lifestyle. Then 50 Cent dropped documented proof showing that Ross had actually been on the other side of the bars, incarcerating people rather than orchestrating the empire he claimed to run. This revelation sparked what would become famously known as the Officer Ricky campaign, and 50 Cent executed it with ruthless precision. He didn't stop at simply exposing the truth, turned it into a full-scale movement, systematically dismantling Rick Ross' carefully crafted image through memes, videos, and relentless mockery that kept the narrative alive in the public eye. From late 2008 through early 2009, 50 Cent allegedly orchestrated one of his most notorious stunts. He reportedly hired a coordinator to look-alike of Ross' then-girlfriend to stage a public confrontation at a Miami radio event. Footage from the encounter shows Ross reacting with physical aggression, shoving the impersonator and seemingly threatening harm before security stepped in to separate them, ensuring the incident became another viral chapter in the feud. The footage continues to resurface and go viral, often with sensationalized captions claiming Ross tried to kill 50 Cent, when in reality it shows him reacting to one of 50's carefully orchestrated trolling stunts. But the campaign didn't stop there. In March 2009, 50 Cent released private footage of Ross' former girlfriend, Lonia Levison, adding his own mocking voiceover. This crossed major boundaries and led to serious legal consequences. Levison sued, winning a judgment between $5 and $7 million, which 50 ultimately settled. The incident showed just how far he was willing to go to attack his rivals, even at great financial and legal risk. Before that, in February 2009, 50 dropped a haunting and poetic video that further fueled the feud. 50 Cent took his attacks to a personal level, even driving past DJ Cole's mother's home and workplace while reciting threatening verses. This showed just how far he was willing to go, targeting the families and loved ones of anyone he considered an enemy without hesitation. Rick Ross didn't take it lying down. He fired back with tracks like Mafia Music in 2009, going after 50's business dealings and questioning his street credibility. Ross also took aim at 50's personal life, referencing his relationship with his child's mother and even his declining record sales. Their musical exchanges created some of the most memorable chapters in hip-hop beef history, moments fans still talk about today. Throughout the 2010s, the feud fluctuated between simmering tension and explosive confrontations. In 2018, when Ross was found unresponsive at his home and hospitalized, 50 Cent immediately took to Instagram, posting mocking memes and comments suggesting the situation was drug-related or exaggerated. This type of response showed that their conflict went far beyond a typical rap rivalry when one side is potentially fighting for their life and the other is making jokes for social media. It enters a whole new level of animosity. The trolling continued into the 2020s, with 50 mocking Ross' weight loss in 2022 and constantly comparing their business empires. 50 flaunted his television ventures and the legendary Vitamin Water deal, while Ross highlighted his Maybach Music Group roster and growing network of Wingstop franchises. Even as recently as August 2025, the feud showed no signs of slowing. Ross kept firing verbal shots, calling 50's early recording contract horrendous and leveling personal and family-related insults alongside Benzino. He also claimed that 50 went unusually quiet after Drake's perceived loss to Kendrick Lamar in 2024, implying he had lost his competitive edge when choosing sides in major hip-hop battles. 50 fired back with a high-stakes threat, acquiring Ross Master Recordings. In the music industry, Owning someone's masters means controlling their entire catalog, their artistic legacy, everything they work to create. This kind of threat isn't just about pride. It strikes at the very core of an artist's life and career, elevating their feud to a whole new level of intensity. The viral footage from 2009 shows Ross in an aggressive confrontation during a Miami radio station appearance, approaching a 50 Cent impersonator, grabbing them, forcing them against a wall, and seemingly threatening violence. Security eventually intervened, but the grainy cell phone clip captured the intensity for posterity. The video went viral on Worldstar Hip Hop and YouTube, quickly amassing millions of views. It resurfaced in 2014 during another revival of the feud and exploded again in 2023 when TikTok users reposted edited versions with dramatic music and overlaid captions like "Ross snaps on 50's clone." The combination of archival footage, meme culture, algorithm-driven visibility, and the ongoing public fascination with their rivalry created perfect conditions for renewed, widespread virality across multiple platforms.